going into this year's Worlds, I have a new perspective on everything. I feel I've figured out how everything works.
S 我是没有去进到 S 系列的，当时因为自己的状态也非常差嘛。S6得到这个机会，对一个职业选手来说，就是很开心的一件事情。
艾美这个队伍进 LPL 的时候，很多人会觉得我们是一个废物队伍。这个时候我们进了 S6之后，感觉把他们脸全打光。
今年的努力就是靠这次世界赛来证明。
오랫동안 못 봤었는데 주목도 높은 그런 무대에서 좋은 경기 보여드리고 그냥 좀 오랫동안 기억에 남는 경기.
I'm really glad I finally made it to the World Finals. It was my dream. It feels amazing.
Primeira vez a Cabo conseguiu ter uma vitória, a segunda vez a PEN conseguiu ter duas e foram muito bem. E a gente espera continuar melhorando isso a cada ano. A gente espera
每个区域的队伍都更强，16支队伍每一支队伍都蛮强。
Anyone that is gonna take us lightly will have a really hard time.
We will try our best, and miracle can happen.
We performed very badly for the MSI, but I will not take it as like our final image.
I don't have that much left in my career, that much left in the tank, and this is our big shot. This is TSM's big shot.
这一次的话，我想不留遗憾。
If you want to prove yourself, you have to beat Faker, and that's what I want to do.
나갔던 월드 챔피언십을 좀 다 우승했기 때문에 우승에 많이 익숙한데
전 세계에서 최고가 될 수 있는 그런 기회잖아요. 그래서 그 기회를 꼭 잡아야 된다고 생각해요.
After 9 months of competition across all corners of the globe, 16 teams, the finest their regions have to offer, have all converged on the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium here in San Francisco, California. Now you're getting a look at the sights and sounds of opening day. As you can see, the stands, the arena is packed. Plenty of energy for the very first day of the group stage. Of course, this is a marathon, ladies and gentlemen. 5 weeks of competition. Everyone streaming in moments ago to take their seats, but plenty of fandom here. As you can see, Cloud9 fans in the crowd. We've got TSM fans in the crowd, but it's not specific to NA. We've got people who are fans of every region and every team from across the globe. Gentlemen, while the teams are closer to the Summoners Cup than ever before, their toughest challenges lie ahead as 5 weeks of competition will leave us with just one team to be crowned, the 2016 League of Legends World Champions. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm James Dash Patterson, thrilled to be here on the analyst desk with none other than Mitch Krepovorspools, Chris Papa Smithy Smith, and Alberto Crumbs Rengifo. Gentlemen, we are poised for the biggest and best Worlds in history. How are we doing today?
I mean, you were talking about NA fans like they were cheering for Doublelift, but we have the biggest Korean fanboy right here on the desk.
That's right, here live. First Worlds ever for me to be live in attendance. Watch the rest on stream. Hyped for this one, though, because it's going to be a pretty damn close world.
This is Christmas for me. I mean, and what better way to celebrate it than with the gift that keeps on giving, 5 weeks of incredible international action right here.
That's very true. And with our international field of teams, our broadcasting partners from around the world have joined us here in California to follow the action from day one. You can see here our friends from China's LPL, the CIS's League of Legends Continental League, and Brazil's CBLOL right next to them. We're broadcasting in over 15 languages worldwide, so everybody can tune in and be a part of it. But now, it is time to head on stage and meet the 16 contenders that will do battle in pursuit of the Summoners Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are here for the DreamHack Summer 2011 Championship game. Oh my!
Going to win the Season 1 championship if they can hold.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming your defending champions, SK Telecom T1. Let's meet the teams here to challenge their title for the Summoners Cup. Starting in Group A, from Korea's LCK, Rocks Tigers. From the League of Legends Continental League, Albus Nox Luna. Representing the European LCS, G2 Esports. And from the North American LCS, Counter Logic Gaming. Now turning to the teams fighting for dominance in Group B. From the League of Legends Master Series, Flash Wolves. Representing the NALCS, Cloud9. From China's League of Legends Pro League, IMEI. And the reigning world champions, Korea's SK Telecom T1. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it once again for your teams in Group A and B. Fighting in Group C, from the European League Championship Series, H2K. Returning to the world stage from the LMS, AHQ Esports Club. Representing Brazil's CBLOL, INTZ Esports. And from the LPL, Edward Gaming. Once again, let's hear it for Group C. And finally, in Group D, from Korea's LCK, Samsung Galaxy. From the European League Championship Series, Splice. From China's LPL, Royal Never Give Up. And representing the North American LCS, TSM. Each season is an incredible journey for these players, and to be at Worlds is their late game. Let's hear it once again for the 16 teams battling for the Summoners Cup. Teams from all over the world now gather together after this journey, after an experience, success, seeing the ups and downs of a year. And now 16 teams stand poised to try and raise the Summoners Cup from defending champions, SK Telecom T1. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together one more time for every region, every team, and all the players here at Worlds.
16 of the best teams from across the world here on one stage to do battle for the title of champions. This is a culmination of a year's worth of work, Crumbs, and it all comes down to this. San Francisco, the start of the group stages.
I'm sure you can relate to this, Mitch, but the amount of effort that these guys have put in to get here is insane. They have tried so hard. They have sacrificed their lives for this moment, and so many of them are just so happy to have this chance and really show off.
And more importantly, once that like deafening scream came out for TSM, like,
oh boy,
everybody in the audience gets goosebumps, and that's honestly so. You put so many hours in it, you sacrifice so much of your life, but then these moments is where it's worth it. So to all the fans out there, keep cheering whenever you see your player on stage, off stage, outside. Keep that fandom alive because it means so much to all the players.
That it does. And of course, gentlemen, something we cannot ignore that is unique to this year's World Championship. This is the first time we have a defending champion back in the tournament to defend their title in SKT.
And the crazy thing is, though, Dash, that they're not necessarily the favorites they were last year. They come in the reigning champions, first time that's happened, but it was more about the Rocks Tigers this year, finally making that big ascent to win their first ever LCK split, but SKT in with a shout, and if you got Faker in the mid, very hard to count them out.
I mean, that's the thing about SKT. On tournament play, they're still expected to perform. Even maybe not being the first seed out of LCK or the tournament favorites, we still expect them to show up.
We cannot underestimate their growth throughout a tournament. They've shown time and time again, even at MSI, struggling at the start of the tournament, but once the machine gets rolling, they watch some VODs and they understand the meta game, they come out on top in the end. Can the Rocks Tigers challenge them this year, or is somebody else going to take that?
Speaking of growth, though, North America, finally the year that seems like everybody has agreed that this is a region worth respecting. Even the Eastern teams are respecting and saying that these guys actually have a shot. They're not to be taken lightly. And if you're going to put the eggs on the basket for North America to win, it seems like TSM is the team to go. And just all three have something to surprise. And it's so interesting that they've finally decided to follow their own meta and stick to that. It worked in MSI. It could work here again.
17-1 in the regular season, 6th appearance at Worlds, you know, recruited double F2. If it's ever going to happen, if it has to work, it is this year that TSM has to kind of put up or shut up, and I'm excited for them this tournament.
An incredible summer split for them. I mean, incredible growth for that team over the year. I do actually want to hop back, Papa, and get your take on the Rocks Tigers, perhaps our tournament favorites. We talked about SKT trying to defend that title. We cannot forget that Rocks made it to the finals. They were the runners-up last year, and they've come back only stronger.
And the fun thing is, Dash, that was kind of an overperformance for them. When you looked before the tournament last time, people were talking about the Rocks Tigers as a good team, but not a great team. They had their weaknesses. They finished second. That was almost more growth than you would expect for this team. Over the offseason, they brought on Peanut. They changed their style. Crazy how they could adapt from a very defensive-minded jungler in Hojin to that aggressive jungler in Peanut. Came so close in spring season, dropped it to SK Telecom. Finally dodged SKT, took down the LCK, but maybe their success here is on whether they can actually beat SKT. That would be the ultimate for them. Winning Worlds, that's one thing, but also getting rid of the specter of SK Telecom and their domination over the Rocks Tigers. That will be a Worlds to remember.
Yeah, we talked about 2 Korean favorites here, but if we're going to talk favorites for the entire thing, we have to talk about Edward Gaming. EDG is coming in undefeated. They were 16-0 in series in the regular season. They have such a fantastic lineup, probably the best AD carry, probably the best bot lane in the tournament they have with them, and they're honestly tournament favorites.
Right, you talk about that 17-1 out of TSM, 16-0 out of EDG, just as, if not more impressive.
Well, if you got to talk about favorites, you also have to talk about the dark horses. And we've known that LMS has been the dark horse all of this time. They always play spoiler and just surprise every single time. And what's interesting is that these two teams also happen to have almost an identical lineup to what they had last year, which is so exciting because that doesn't really happen. You get to see the growth of a team throughout an entire year, and they make it back.
I mean, talking about the major storylines for that region, the fact that they secured a Pool 1 seed at MSI. Yeah. And as you mentioned, both Flash Wolves and AHQ making a reappearance here at Worlds. They were kind of counted out last year. Boom, both of them make it out of their groups. What are they going to do this time around?
I mean, AHQ, we talk about growth, but we also have to talk about struggle. They did not have a great season overall. They openly came out in multiple interviews, discussed how they were struggling, how the team communication was breaking down. But then they had their equivalent of the regional qualifiers, swept it 3-0 in the 1v1 one game, 3-0 in the next, and then they came into Worlds with very clean macro play. It'll be very interesting to follow them against H2K in particular in that group.
All right, well, we haven't touched on the European LCS, Crepo. So here we are. What are your thoughts with the contenders that the European LCS has put forward?
Well, at least G2 Esports screwed themselves at MSI because they ended up taking the equivalent of the #1 seed, but now a #2 seed.
Right.
They're actually favorites to at least get second place at minimum in that group. And then H2K, in my opinion, can make it out too. So that would be great for Europe. And then if Splice can maybe play spoiler, maybe take one game of TSM, I'd be happy.
All right, so we've talked about some of the favorites in the tournament, hit a couple of the teams, but now I want to know what you guys individually are personally excited for in this Worlds tournament.
I've got my eye on Ambition. That's the jungler from Samsung. I mean, this guy is arguably the best player to have never made it to Worlds. He's been playing 12 LCK splits. That is a very long time. He started off as a mid laner, arguably one of the best mid laners of all time at that moment. He struggled, became a jungler, and did not find success initially. Eventually, found success in the beginning of this year. And against all odds, they managed to qualify, beating a KT team that they had gone 0-19 against to beat in the qualifiers and finally make it here. And they've got something to prove.
It just meant so much for Ambition. You know, this is a player who started playing highest level, competitive League of Legends in OGN Champions at the time in April of 2012. We're talking about 9 months before LCS even started. Was top tier at the time. Faker came in and then maybe he went down the tier list a bit, but changed role. Now here with Samsung. There was an interview with him just before where he basically counted himself out. He thought, okay, I don't think I'm going to make it to Worlds. I've come so close so many times. Maybe it's not going to happen for me. And it was just so much emotion from that Samsung team, but Ambition in particular.
Now talk to me about this jungle then that we have, because Ambition is just one piece of it. What about the rest of the jungle pool, and especially here on patch 6.18, as we've kind of skipped a couple patches here, how do we expect this to develop?
I mean, we brought standard lanes back in 6.15. Right now we're 6.18 here, and it's going to be beautiful. Dispatch brought back two things that I love, which is the art of the laning phase in the bot lane and jungle pathing. And with that in mind, there's one player that I like to follow throughout this tournament. It's a Voidalist from IMA who are up to a tall task. They need to kind of surprise in this tournament, but if there's one player that can do it, it is a Voidalist right there, because he has shown, especially in their series versus RNG, where he kind of out-jungled and out-maneuvered MLXG in some creative jungle pathing. And that's what I want to see more. Teams breaking the mold, challenging convention here in this tournament, and teaching us what there is to learn about League of Legends, because every year there is something that we get taught, like when it was Mata solving Vision back in the day, or teams just kind of figuring out lane swaps. I wonder what we haven't learned yet that we're about to learn at this tournament.
I'm excited for exactly the same. Now, Papa Smithy, looking at the world's top 20 list that was thrown out recently, 6 ADCs find themselves on that top 20 list. That means we are stacked with ADC talent coming into this world.
That's exactly the word I wanted to use, is stacks. You take a step back when you see the 16 teams that, okay, what's big in this tournament? I don't think there's ever been a point where the top 6 players in their role in the world are attending the same tournament. I think we have it here. Bang, Prey, Deft, Uzi, Doublelift, and Sven. Representatives from Korea, China, North America, and Europe. It's a world-stacked field, and I'm excited because we're going to get to see 2 of these players battle today in Uzi versus Doublelift later in the day.
Final match of the day. What a way to end it.
Exactly, but the thing is, more of that in the group stages, and then potentially some best-of-5s between these great talents.
And the crazy thing about these AD carries is that while we rank them very similarly to each other, they play such different roles within the team. You have the likes of Doublelift, a shot caller. You have the likes of Uzi and Deft, who just play hard carry for their team, or Prey, who's that utility guy. But all of them are so good in the laning phase, and all of them just play such pivotal roles for the team that it's so exciting as they actually find ways to lane and then transition that into the mid game.
Yeah, but you guys are all talking about these great AD carries, picking up all the spotlight, the pride, but there are a couple of players that really make them shine, who honestly need more value.
The better halves,
The better halves, of course, and that's their supports. The likes of a Mythi at this tournament, a Mako, Mata looking for somewhat redemption here. Gorilla still there. Like, these bot lanes, not only do they, Aframu too, not only do they bring great AD carries, they bring complete bot lanes. And that is much more fun to watch than seeing a great AD carry perhaps carry like a struggling support or vice versa. So I'm so excited for the bot lane 2v2s.
Even more so, exactly, because we're going to see 2v2s in the bot lane, right? We're not going to see the lane swaps where people get babied through those early stages of the game. This is all about how you play those matchups. I mean, in particular, I'm going to put you guys on the spot here, since we're talking about ADC talent. Best ADC in this tournament, who is it?
I think you have to say it's Deft. I mean, it's It's hard for me to say. Still a Korean player, so still in my region, I guess, technically, but there's so much talent. But the one way you can kind of split that talent, Dash, is looking at some of the champions that are going to be in the meta. And a big pick for me is going to be Ezreal. We have 3 Ezreal gods at this tournament in Bang, Prey, and Def. All of them very well known for playing this champion. Thing about Ezreal, you play solo queue. Ezreal on your team doesn't seem like he does a lot of damage, but these players played at the most highest level with all the skill shots in this kit. When you get to see the best in the world on this champion, you take a step back and all you can do is smile.
And speaking to your Ezreal point, Ezreal's one of the oldest champions in the game. That's why these guys that have been such around, these are the OG Ezreal players. Yep. They're so good at it. They have mastered it for years and years, and that's why you don't see those newcomer AD carries that are unable to actually master this champion to the level that they can display.
I mean, it's all about skill shots when it comes to Ezreal, but on top of that, as we've watched the meta develop, we saw Jhin get nerfed, we saw Ashe get nerfed, we got Sivir get nerfed, so Ezreal's going to rise in priority here. He allows some safety for that late game, has that 2-item spike, and more than anything, he's just an exciting champion to watch. I think that's a big part of it, is watching good players play Ezreal at a high level is exceptional to watch. And
good Ezreal is exciting to watch.
Right, well, yeah, bad Ezreal
buys tiers and farms.
I don't know, bad Ezreal is kind of fun to watch too, to be honest. Just if you're mediocre, then I have no interest. All right, well, moving on then to our next beat here. You've heard from us on the desk what we want to see and what we're taking away from this tournament. Now tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag Worlds and tell us what you're most excited to see during the group stage and why. We'll check in on the conversation later today, so keep your thoughts coming. Now, all of Worlds 2016 will be played on patch 6.18, and while Yorick is disabled, everything else is fair game, which means we might see a Kled. And my question to you is, will we see a Kled, and will we see it today?
So I think the teams, the way that they're going to play Kled, they're going to ease into it like an old man into warm water. It's really...
into warm batter. I don't want to see that ever.
So that's why, because it's such a new pick and not everybody knows how to play around it, you have to be very cautious with how you play it. There's such a strong meta already developed in the top side that can easily bully out a Kled, and it's honestly a rough pick. So I find it that a team that most likely will have an easier matchup might experiment with it and see some success, and then other teams will likely pick it up, or we'll see the reverse. It'll fail, and nobody will pick it.
My prediction is it's going to be a champion we'll probably see, maybe even today. We're going to see someone try it out. I feel like the first time you see it, that's going to be the acid test. So whether it's, say, international, it's one of the outsiders of this tournament playing against a favorite, if it struggles, then I think other teams might take one back. I don't know, this seems like a riskier pick than it might necessarily be. But I'm expecting to see a lot of poke this time, a lot of Jace, a lot of Ezreal. Engages at a premium, that Kled ultimate, the charge. It really can lead the charge, so it has the potential, but whether we'll see it a lot remains to be seen.
I mean, if we take that point that Crumbs made right there, they has a slightly weaker laning phase where you can get countered, which means you kind of want to counterpick Kled on like 5th rotation purple side. The problem is right now, mid lane meta is also very counterpick oriented if you follow the pro players here, because the likes of Syndra, Cassiopeia, and even Orianna kind of have like a rock, paper, scissors relationship right there. I don't think there's too much space for counterpick top lanes right now at the tournament, because they'll just lock in something really strong early. That may block Kled, but it should be no surprise when a team whips it out and suddenly starts carrying, because it's so unpredictable. That ulti is a game changer.
I think one of the most exciting things about these larger tournaments for me is watching that meta develop within the tournament itself, watching successes and failures and seeing how teams react to those moving into week 2. Now, for a deeper dive on 618, check out our full breakdown on lolesports.com. All right, well, we'll get to our first look at contenders in just a few minutes, starting with Group A, as Europe's G2 Esports and North America's CLG set up on stage for our first clash of the tournament. Then the Rocks Tigers will go up against Albus Nox Luna. Group C is up next with H2K versus AHQ and CB Lulz INTZ versus Edward Gaming. Then it's Group D as Korea's Samsung Galaxy takes to the stage against Europe's Splice. And our final match of the day pits TSM against the LPL's Royal Never Give Up. What a doozy to end the day. Now, throughout Worlds, we have the Riot Games 2 stream up and running to bring you a specialized look at the action unfolding on Summoner's Rift. We'll have special guests and a team of analysts for each game during group stages, offering a rotating focus of specific lanes, matchups, or exciting players. Now, during our first match of the day, Sifa, Zyrene, and their guest Matt will tunnel in on the support matchup between Mithy and Aframu. For more details, click over to lolesports.com or check in on the Riot Games 2 stream throughout the tournament. Before we go, though, gentlemen, it's time for me to put you on the spot one last time. Our first game of the day, G2, CLG, EU, NA. Down the line, Crepo, who you taking?
I'm going to go for G2 Esports here. I know CLG come into every tournament with a lot of cheese. They'll whip out the Parmesan, the Gouda. They even have crowd support. But G2, they're done with their vacation. They practice super hard, and they're going to smash CLG.
Alrighty. How about here, Papa?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to take G2 as well. I know that the crowd aren't going to like it.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
You guys are making enemies here. Day one, game one, we're making enemies.
Wait, guys, Kui's no longer here.
But what I will say, though, is that remember back to MSI, CLG had the Aurelion Soul. They had something prepared. I think the fact that CLG plays in game one of the day when the meta's not settled, this is their best chance to take down G2. So it's a close one. Based on tape, you go for G2, but can't be too surprised if CLG.
I see Crumbs is antsy. He's ready to go. What do you got for me?
You know, my mind's telling me that G2 will take it. My heart wants CLG so bad, but there's just so much against
Follow your
CLG
heart,
right
Crumbs.
now.
Follow your heart.
I have to take G2. I have to take. No. But this is their best shot. This is their best shot for CLG. I think they can do it. I want it to happen.
You're done. You're done, Zone. Already.
The evidence is too much, man. It's been the whole split.
I got to go with Papa Smithy on the best of 1 point for CLG. I think that's a really, really big move for this squad. And it looks like the crowd is behind me on that one. But, ladies and gentlemen, 3-0 here on the desk in favor of G2. It's time now to hit the rift here in San Francisco. So without further ado, let's send it to the casters to fire up Worlds 2016.
Thank you very